What's up everyone? Welcome back to the shop. I was tasked with making a Lazy Susan, so let's get to it. I want my Lazy Susan to be made from 3/4 inch MDF, but I also want it to be 22 inches in diameter. So I took a piece of MDF and I cut it to 23 inches square. Now that I have my piece, I'm gonna go ahead and mark the center point of it now, because it's much easier to do that when it's square than for me to try to find that after it's a circle. For the hardware, I'm gonna repurpose this Lazy Susan hardware I got at the big box store. I'm just gonna make sure that I center this where it's supposed to go, mark the holes for the screws, and then take this off, cut out my circle, then I can reinstall this later. Wiki, 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 wiki. I also cut a 14-inch diameter circle in some MDF. That's going to be the bottom of the Lazy Susan. And in the bottom, I drilled out a 5/8 inch diameter hole. That's going to allow us to attach the hardware to the underside of the top. The hole's about 3.5 inches in from the edge. And whenever I put my hardware on here, you see that as I spin it around, I should be able to put my drill bit through that hole and then screw into the hole in the hardware into the top of the Lazy Susan. So now I'm going to attach this. I'm gonna put the top on there, attach that, make sure everything works and spins freely before I move on to the next steps. It works awesome. Now, I did cut this out over the CNC, but I have done this a different way, which is to use this dude here. This is a circle cutting jig by Miles Craft. This thing is fantastic. I've made this project and other projects using this. Not sponsored in any way, just a really cool jig. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to check it out. I also have a video on a bunch of different ways to cut out circles. So if you don't have a CNC, it's all good. There's a bunch of other ways. Now, next step with this dude is I want to round over all the edges. So, to the router table.
I got hustles in like 80 ways. Kids if you won't take a lazy day. Wife you want me told me take a break. I keep going to the paper street. Then it's trips out to Montego Bay. If I take the job, bet I get it done. I said it before, I'm a 101. I just cut some ones.
The roundovers look really good. Now, I do want to take these and turn them black, but this is MDF, and I know that the top of it is going to be really hard, but the edges is like a sponge. It just soaks up stuff, so we have to seal that. Now, what I'm going to do is take some wood filler here with a little bit of water, apply it, and then sand it back. That's going to seal the end grain. Now, some people will take drywall mud and use that, drywall mud spackle. Some people will take glue and dilute glue and do it. It's all the same thing. Basically, just seal those ends before you apply any sort of finish to it. I'm going to use some TimberMate wood filler for this. It is water dissolvable, solvable, salinable. That's not even a word. You can dissolve it with water and it will provide a slurry for us. I really like TimberMate. It is some pretty good wood filler, I have to say. I applied the wood filler, and then once it dried, I went ahead and sanded everything back to 220 grit so it is super smooth. And then I set up a giant spray booth in my shop. Now, I know that this is definitely overkill for what we're going to be doing, but I have some other projects too that I'm also going to spray, so it was kind of necessary. So let me show you what I'm actually going to be spraying. I'm going to apply a couple coats of General Finishes and Duravar sanding sealer. This is going to seal the MDF before we actually apply the finish. And as far as the finish goes, I'm going to spray in Duravar Black Poly. I recently did a finishing test where I took a bunch of different finishes and applied it to see how it would look on different types of woods. And the water-based finish didn't do very well. And I've had bad luck also with just in Duravar applying that to raw wood. But this is different. This is Black Poly. and while it is still Enduravar, it's already tinted black. And what I find is that it just does a beautiful job. So I don't really like the look of water-based finishes on raw wood, but I definitely like it whenever it's black or white or tinted to a certain color. We've got to strain this before we shoot it. As for my weapon of choice with this, I'm going to be using my old Erlex sprayer here. I think that this is a really good sprayer if you're just getting into spraying. You know, you don't have to buy the insane, crazy expensive ones. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's definitely not the highest on the market. And it does a great job. I've sprayed lacquer, I've sprayed this type of stuff, no problems. It's really good. Super easy project. I think it turned out cool. And it just goes to show, sometimes projects don't have to be super elaborate. You could have a lot of fun making something pretty simple like this. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel. Maybe check out this other video up here. I think you might like that one too. And until we meet again, get in your shop and build something awesome.